If this is the first time you've seen this, then first of all,
really boring.
Swaos video is that
the
more
more
words
this
this
Vine
get, the better.
Now, of course,
at
Vine
first look, this
doesn't
stupid
second
seems like some sort of sleeper communication.
So finding it is obviously not going to be easy.
You don't know what
and
that
as
is.
for the
But
last
how
one, it
difficult
isn't
it is.
truly known.
Swaos.
I figured out why city boys don't drive lifted trucks very much. They have swagger and wear them skinny jeans. They can't pick their legs up that high. Gay!
So now that the absolute craze of finding the original video has, for the most part, died down, we can hopefully take a calm and collected mindset and sit down and look at just how we found the original video. I'm going to timeline this whole search in the best way I possibly can. If I miss something, be sure to let me know in the comments. Before we do that, however, I want to add some notes and some disclaimers. First of all, if you posted the video on YouTube and didn't give credit to the user/platform who found the video, iFunny user self-aware breadstick, or iFunny as a whole, then I hate you. To clear up any confusion, iFunny found the post, not Instagram, not 4chan, not YouTube, and most certainly not Reddit. Anybody claiming that they found it is lying. Do not believe them in any sense unless they can provide some solid proof. I will be covering how it was found later. Moving on to the disclaimers. First of all, I want to say this in the most assertive way possible. Do not, under any circumstances, contact the individual in the video. He wants to be left out of this, as this whole situation, which started back in 2013, has brought him some trouble in his personal life. If you are new to the search, or you are saying to yourself, what the hell is a Swaos? Then most of this does not apply to you. Do not mention his name in the comments, as I will be blocking it out in the comments. I will also be blocking out the other individual, Joshua, and his last name. During this video, I will not mention the second individual's name that we found, or any of his socials, which I hope you guys can stick to as well. The individual wants peace, and we must honor his wishes. If you are here to simply troll us or him, then leave this video, and quite frankly, unsubscribe if that's the case. I don't want you here. Second disclaimer, much shorter. I will be leaving a majority, if not all the thanks at the end of the video, in mass at first, and then in detail. Now, without further ado, let's move on with the video. Here we are going to timeline the entire process of the search from start to finish in the most detailed way possible, and staying within my own time constraints, of course. To start off our timeline, we are going to look back at the year 2013, which I mentioned earlier as the start of this situation. According to info confirmed from the man, whom we will call Swaos, he uploaded the original video onto a website. He wasn't sure what the website was, and later we found out it was Vine, which was presumed from the beginning anyway. To recap that little excerpt, our journey starts in 2013, with the original video being posted to Vine on Swaos' account. From here, well, this is where we start to shift into some obscurity. The video was simply there, and it had no special value compared to what it holds today. It sat there on the internet, and things went by normal. That is, until June 8th, 2016, where the next point in our timeline takes place.
I figured out why city boys don't drive lifted trucks very much. Swaos.
ننه 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 سر بازی بده مرخصیش کمه ننه چرا منو زاییدی تو که دهنمو گاییدی میدونستی ننه بزرگ میشم سر بازی میرم چرا دادی تو شیرم نذاشتی من بمیرم سربازم و سربازی برام یه مشت خاکه همه دار و ندارم فقط یک دل پاکه سرباز نوار گلیم پاره شب را سر میاره کلافر پامرغی واسش فرقی نداره.
On this set date, June 8th, 2016, YouTube user RadDad65 uploaded the cursed video we know well today. Roughly 3 years after the original was uploaded, the internet found itself here. The video, as ahead of its time as it was, sat in the background of the internet, if you will, and never really took off until some time later. People slowly began to find the video by some means and share it, which led to some reposts. One of the reposts to note is that of the YouTube user Crawls. He reposted the video, giving proper credit to RadDad65, and the views started to take off. While RadDad's video sat with much less views, most likely because of its cryptic title in a different language, Crawls' video brung in the views and brought some popularity to the meme. This is what brought the meme into the light. No large search was started to look for the video, however, and time went on. It is assumed that some people saw the original here and there and thought nothing of it, which led us to the situation we have now. No blame or complaining here, just commenting on that. In about 2 or 3 days, or relative to when I upload this, it will be right around the 3-year anniversary of the shutdown of Vine, which closed its doors to its users on January 17th, 2017. From here, this is where the search, which wasn't particularly formalized yet, got a lot more difficult to conduct. The Vine archives were left in Vine's place, and they weren't particularly the most reliable thing that could have been left. It got even worse over the years, and now the Vine archive is relatively useless. From this point, the search, which hasn't started yet in this timeline, needed the exact username if they wanted to find the original. But the video was presumably deleted anyway. In the time period from that point, and even a little while before it, to the part in the timeline after this, the cursed videos circulated different platforms, with iFunny being supposedly the main reposting point for the cursed meme. RadDad mentions that he had the original video, when asked about it, on a blog, which unfortunately was deleted. This is where obscurity begins to creep in again, as many users recall seeing it, but thinking nothing of it, which hasn't been confirmed, so for this period in the timeline, we sat there going on with our days, asking here and there, not being able to find an answer. In mid-November, the 15th of November to be exact, Mr. Glowstick uploaded this video of the cursed meme analyzing and calling to the internet to find the video. From there, user YeetLordCorey on iFunny began to post different comments in the comment sections of memes to spread awareness. The post itself contained a long rant of comments. The video posted along with the comment was a sneak peek of the video he uploaded in full on YouTube. To clear up any confusion, Mr. Glowstick and YeetLordCorey are the same person, at least at the time of this video being made. Some people slowly started to join in, and before you knew it, people became a bit more aware. And now, it's time to move in to the part of the show where we kick off the mass search, leading into it as well, of course. So we're going to change from the calm tone that we started in to the more excited, fast-paced tone. Let's go. For a while, the search was slowed, and at times, almost dead. The formalized search hasn't started yet, but this is where we move into that. In early January, iFunny user Andy's mom's Puh messaged me and made an archive of my comments in his own post. He also made a side post which gained a lot of attention. From there, we started to spread awareness in a better way, and it wasn't until the iFunny user ChessPinFan started a group chat named the Swaos investigation that the search went into full swing. The formalized search, now in motion, began to look at some info we'd already gathered and reevaluate it. The person we were looking at the time was Joshua, the individual I mentioned in the update video I made. I can only mention that his first name is Joshua. I can't go further into saying his last name, as that's essentially terms to get me fined or sued in some aspect. This was all based on rumors, from which we had no clue as to how they came to be. Digging was done, and his socials and connections were found, including some of the records of arrest and jail time. One of his significant others became the target of contacting for extra info. Some time passed, but iFunny user Gaebich, I'll be mispronouncing that, I promise, and whomever else eventually got a hold of the SO, and from that point we were given a response that Joshua was not the individual we are calling Swaos. After some reevaluation, comparison on the individual in the cursed video proved to be very informative. After a look at some discrepancies between Joshua and the second individual, it was determined by the search party that Joshua was not our man. From there, we were back to square one, and things went a bit more silent. Some suggestions of hiring a PI, or private investigator, reaching out to some YouTubers by tweet, and even looking at the license plate featured in the video, comparing it to license plates around the US, were suggested. Leads dropped, and the only thing we had going for us was the Vine archives and Rad Dad, whom at first didn't really respond to anything. Things seemed a bit bleak. iFunny user Mr. Saturn and a couple other individuals came to the conclusion that the license plate featured was an Oklahoma license plate. The font of the plate itself helped us determine it. The letters were going to be run, and a lot of work was going to need to be put in, but some other stuff came up in the meantime. On January 12th, 2020, YouTube user Mr. Glowstick, also known as Lord Corey on iFunny, established contact with YouTube user RadDad65, who we know is the original creator of the cursed video. On screen will be some screenshots as I talk about them. Pause if you need to. RadDad mentioned and suggested that the video made its way to Tumblr and the search party moved quickly to the quirky platform. Tumblr, like many of the other search tactics, bore no fruit. With Tumblr's UI being not the best, it made searching on it a pain, and another dead end was hit. With nothing to do, all we could do was look back at the license plate and hope for the best. In desperation, ideas of even going to dealerships and looking at the interiors of trucks was suggested, and almost instantly dismissed to a degree, considering the method was unorthodox and would most likely lead to nothing. Hints towards the death of the search began to creep in, until something major hit the chat. iFunny users Poopjar, Magmarator, and Meams a beef fish stick found some groundbreaking information pertaining to the search. The second individual, which I will not mention, will be called Swaos or Mr. Swaos for the time being. The group felt a sense of relief and newfound motivation worked its way back into the chat. Just like that, we had found what could be called indisputable evidence that this second individual was indeed our man, and within hours, most, if not all, of his socials were discovered. Some real, some fake. His face was used also to scam and was plastered around sketchy dating profiles, which were not run by him. Again, iFunny user Gaebich was able to establish contact and, with some help from me, talked with him. The information that I said earlier was confirmed by him was confirmed here. It became clear that Mr. Swaos did not want to be involved and furthermore wanted to be left alone. Honoring his wishes, we moved on. Back to the web the group went, where we went back through all of his socials. Using websites like Yandex for reverse image searching and Bing for regular searching methods, some Vine links were found. Remember, Vine isn't completely gone as long as you have a direct link. It's just searching the actual Vine archive is basically impossible. iFunny user Manana led us to a Vine with a man mentioning our second individual and gave a big hint towards his name. Using that info, we found another social using that said name and began combing through it. We found absolute confirmation that Mr. Swaos had a Vine account, with a few thousand followers at that. Following that Vine, we came across some keywords and hashtags, which we used to aid in the search. From there, the search consisted of searching, and searching, and searching, and searching. Then, as if by magic, a miracle hit. The miracle, the closing statement, the final step, finally came into fruition. At exactly 9:07 p.m. Mountain Time, iFunny user Self-Aware Hot Pocket claimed he had found the video. The chat went absolutely nuts. Many, including myself, were a bit skeptical and figured it was a troll. But sure enough, at exactly 9:14 p.m., the first official views besides Self-Aware Hot Pocket himself proceeded. The video, a daily motion video of all things, of a compilation of vines, was screen recorded and sent to the chat. The video had been finally found, and the search came to an unexpected but welcome close.
I figured out why city boys don't drive lifted trucks very much. They have swagger and wear them skinny jeans. They can't pick their legs up that high. Gay!
Before I move on to all the users and thank yous in detail, I want to give thanks to the entire community as a whole, both iFunnies and mine in particular. iFunny, which is usually seen as a sort of cesspool in some rights, came together to solve a 7-year-old mystery, and that's something to put on the resume. This whole investigation has brought me a larger following as well, which I can't begin to thank you all enough. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you've got the time. Enough of that though. Let's move on to the detailed thank yous. As I talked there, you might have noticed I flashed some names across the screen. Each of those names were the names of those who were in the iFunny group chat that was formed by Chespin-Fan. Since those have been covered, I am now going to personally thank specific users I found to be the most helpful and motivating for me. Thank you to user Andy's Mom's Puh, who eventually gave me the motivation to move forward with this whole investigation. If it wasn't for him, the search might have died down before it even truly started. With that, I also want to thank Chespin-Fan for creating the group chat and centralizing the search party. There was one before it, but it was in its dying phase shortly after it began. Thank you to my close friends in particular, users Jarl and Gaebich, who helped aid in the search in a great way. And finally, thank you to user Anglo-Canadian for essentially documenting and catching the eye of people towards this whole search, and for making this video a lot easier to make. Since the info was gathered in one place, it helped me form the timeline a lot easier. And with that, we end this. The Swaos investigation case is hereby closed. January 13th, 2020 can now be considered a holiday of sorts. Thank you for watching all the way through if you did, and I apologize if I didn't get to you in the thank you section properly. Have an awesome day everyone, and always remember, never underestimate people with time on their hands. Never.